So I'm very excited to have Sarah McCrum with us today. Sarah is the author of Love Money, Money Loves You, as well as Energy on Demand. Sarah has studied energy with Chinese masters for many, many years. She also is the co-founder of Love to Organization, which she can tell us more about later. And you can find out more about Sarah on her website, sarahmccrum.com. So I'm so excited for Sarah to be here today. Sarah, welcome, and thank you from the bottom of my heart for sharing your time with us.
Thank you very much, Joanna. I'm very happy to be here.
Thank you. So I'm so excited I get to talk to you about money because in my day job, I'm a banker and my passion is helping people with law of attraction and manifesting. And I came across both of your books, the Love Money, Money Loves You, as well as Energy on Demand. And I've read them within a week, and I have to say there's so much transformative information in there. And I thought about money. It's such a very interesting topic because it's a very controversial topic in our life, right? We often make our biggest decisions in our life based on money, right? People will pick their whole careers based on money. Maybe they're staying jobs they hate because of money. I sometimes even stay in relationships they don't like because of money. I will never forget when years ago there was a person in my job who was celebrating 20th wedding anniversary, and we were congratulating him and we were saying like, what is the secret to your success? And his response was, alimony and child support is the secret to my marriage success. And it was just a joke, but there was also something to it where people get often stuck in life because of money. So I wanted to ask you, Sarah, why do you think money is such a controversial topic, first of all? And then what led you on this path to write this book about money and channel the conversation with money?
I think it's a controversial topic because, in a way, we don't understand what money is very well. And we've built a system around money. So we've created money systems, financial systems, and an economy has arisen based on that misunderstanding, in my view, of what money is. But fundamentally, really, we've developed an economy that doesn't sit right with us as human beings. And I think many people don't quite know why. It just feels all wrong. So I'll give you a few examples which are very easy to relate to. One thing that you find is people who have very strong values that are things we all value. You know, we value caring for people. We value good parenting, but we don't value it financially and in our economy at all. We don't even recognize it in our economy. We value and love nature, but our economy has really only valued nature when it's killed. Literally, you know, if you cut down a tree, it suddenly has a financial value. And when it's standing there, with the exception now of carbon credits, so we're beginning to change, while it's standing there contributing value to us, it doesn't have any economic value. Therefore, we're motivated to actually cut it down to make money. And so we have this sort of upside down situation. I think most people can't put a name to it exactly. They can't say exactly what's wrong. And then there's another piece. That's one of the upside down pieces. The other upside down piece is that we want money because we associate it with value. Money is connected with value. It's about exchange of value. So we want it. But then we've been made to feel guilty about wanting it by most religions. So you get people who make a lot of money and feel terrible things inside them if they've had any kind of religious education, because they feel like maybe they won't go to heaven, or you know, the really good people in the East are poor beggars with begging bowls and no money at all. Or people who feel like, I'm a good person, and then they're terrified of making money. So this kind of split inside us between wanting it and being afraid of it. So that's also very unnatural for a human being. And I think we haven't resolved those issues. And that's why it's so controversial and why so much harm gets done in the name of money. Now, you asked another part of your question. I can just tell you briefly the story of what happened to me. As somebody who was more at the switched off end of money, we didn't talk about money when I was young. And it was kind of culturally the thing to look down on people who made money. That was the British culture at the time. And I went through a business failure, which is a fairly difficult experience, I think, for anybody. And shortly after that, I was reading a little book about money, but I didn't have anything then. I wasn't even able to pay my rent after the business failed. And the book had a question in it, which was, what would money like to say to you? And it seems like an odd question in a way. And I was journaling, so I just sort of thought, well, I'll answer the question. And my pen started writing automatically. And the first thing that I wrote was, I would like to tell you to love me. It was like money was talking to me. And it went on and it said, I am an energy. I'm very powerful and beautiful. And it then carried on writing this most beautiful message to me. And I came to understand it was the energy of money, if you like. It's kind of like the subtle system that sits behind our physical financial system. And it was sharing this understanding of what money is, which was very different from what we're used to. And I went on writing every day for several months, which is what became my book, Love Money, Money Loves You. And the thing that I think is important about it is that a lot of people, when they read it, say, oh, this is the first time money has made sense to me. People
Mm-hmm.
who've read a lot of the new money books, you know, the manifestation books and the Napoleon Hill and all the stuff that's come out over the last 20, 30 years around how to make money and how to be positive about money and things like that. Even people who've read all of those books, when they read this, it's like everything falls into place and falls into a peaceful place, like, this makes sense. This actually feels right to me as a human being. And I think that's the significance of that experience that I had and then have later shared with other people.
Oh, I love that. And I love that you shared the story about, we all go sometimes ups and downs in life, right? So thank you for sharing it. I wanted to ask you, in your book, you talk about the vibrational bank account, like the debit and the credit, almost like in a banking account system. Can you explain a little bit more about that? Because I found it to be a very fascinating subject, and the way you described it, how our emotions and thoughts and, feelings, how they play into the vibrational bank account.
Yes, you're going into some quite deep territory very quickly. But I understand that also with your banking background that debits and credits make very good sense. The essence of this is that, often as human beings, we think our only contribution is the things that I do that I get paid for, or the things that I do, I bring up my children or I take care of my parents. These are important things that we do. And we can very easily ignore how we do things and the value of that. But when you look at the energy perspective rather than just the physical material perspective on things, in fact, all of us can understand that how we do things, how we are as a human being is very important. So let's take a few examples. Let's say you get married and you're just grumpy and mean all the way through your marriage. It's not going to be a happy marriage, first of all. You're not going to contribute to the well-being of your partner. If you have children, you're probably going to, your children are really going to suffer from that. So although you've got a marriage, you have a partnership, you have some children, the physical things, the pieces are all in place, but the energy is not. The energy is harming whilst you're trying to do something good. If we take the opposite example, if you're kind and you enjoy your marriage and you bring love to it and your partner brings love to it as well, and you bring love to your children and all those other things, there's a good energy in your home and there's a good positive energy in you. And we all know what that feels like. There are many variations. It's not just one thing, but we know the difference between a positive vibration that is doing good and a negative vibration that is kind of, it either sucks energy from other people or it makes them feel confused or hurt or things like that. So really what the vibrational bank account is about is that at an energetic level, which is what money really is, we are constantly contributing or we're constantly affecting this kind of vibrational bank account. And it goes in credit. The credit increases when we're literally supplying what we could call positive energy to the universe. And it decreases, excuse me, when we're doing harmful things, when we're depleting the universe, so to speak. And the interesting thing about this credit and debit system is, well, there are a few interesting things which we can all relate to because we have bank accounts. You could have an account in credit and account in debit at the same time. So it's not just like a single measure, like I'm, 10 on a scale of 1 to 100, or it's not as simple as that. You can have debits and credits going on, and they don't always cancel each other out unless you make a decision to clean up the debits, so to speak. You can't have an unlimited amount of debits. If you go far enough into negativity, you will get sick, most likely, or, bad things happen and you won't be able to sustain life. So like with a bank, you can't forever go into debit with a bank. In the end, they're going to call you on it and they're going to do something about it. But they're very happy if you build unlimited credit. So, and then the other important thing about this is when we have good, healthy credit, we're able to use that in a way. That's how we manifest things. If I buy something, you give me something, I give you some money. But if I manifest it, I ask the universe for it and it comes. That comes from your credit.
I love that. You also mentioned something about the new currency, like the new currency will be the contribution of humanity and people around you. Does it kind of tie into the vibration of money a little bit? When I thought about it, it's like, the doing good and thinking good, sending good thoughts and just like being positive, right?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, that in a way, that is the new currency. I think what we're going to see, and we're going to see this emerging, in fact, over the next decades, really quite directly. Two things. One is we're going to see a much more nuanced versions of currency in kind of manifest in physical currencies. So I would say within a few years, many of the assets that we're used to seeing as rather static will become more of a currency. So for example, now they're tokenizing gold and many other assets, and then there will be an interchangeability between those assets, and they can be fractionalized, they can be divided into very small pieces and exchanged without even having to go through fiat or mainstream money. That's coming. That's the physical version of it. And sitting behind that, we will also be better and better at manifesting. So in a way, what we'll realize is that making a positive contribution to life is genuinely valuable. I think we will value that more at an economic level, but we are learning more and more about manifestation, and more often you won't need to have money to get something. It's almost like we're going towards a much more sophisticated bartering system. Not simple bartering where, it's my goat and your cow or something, but really sophisticated with many, many different forms of value. And some of those will be the value we put on well-being, for example, or the contribution somebody makes to take care of nature. We are going to have ways of valuing that we don't have at the moment, that enable us to exchange so many things that we've not been able to exchange before. So I think that is the new currency. There's going to be the tangible currency, and there's going to be the energetic currency, which is where I have credit. And I see this in my life. It's like the most remarkable things happen to me. Like I meet people who I need in my business in ways that I could never have engineered. And they come, I know, because of they're coming on the new currency. There are opportunities and possibilities coming to me on the new currency. And then I also work with the traditional mainstream currency.
I love that you said that, because I think the banking system and the currency is going to change, right? There's so much more happening between the traditional financing world and the crypto already. There's the new unifications happening. So definitely this is going in a new direction. When you talk about, you said something in your book also that I found very interesting. You said, love yourself so that you can accept money. I was thinking about, like, so often we are so self-destructive, right? In the way we act, there's people that, have addictions, and it's like, in a way, self-destruction, like the opposite of self-love. Like how how does the self-love and self-acceptance affect money in our life?
Well, let's go back to what I talked about a little while ago, this new currency in the vibrational bank account. If I'm really nasty to other people all the time, everybody understands, we see that in business quite often. You have really nasty bosses. Nobody likes them. Businesses don't, business becomes very strained when it's like that. If I'm really nasty to other people, we know that that's not good, and it creates negative energy around us, and people don't want to hang out with you and all of that. What about if you're really nasty to yourself? Is that better? Of course it's not. You're just as precious a piece of life as any other human being or any child. Like, nobody wants to be nasty to children. They can be, but they don't mean to be. They do it because they're not happy. And yet somehow we think it's okay to be really unpleasant to ourselves. And so people are hard on themselves, they're critical, they punish themselves, they judge themselves. I mean, I remember meeting one person who said, oh my goodness, I'm like Hitler towards myself. I'm a tyrant towards myself. And then she wondered why her husband was acting like a tyrant towards her, but she had that tyrant inside her. So yes, if we turn that around now and talk about self-love on the same measure, when we love ourselves, there's a really interesting thing that happens is when you love yourself, or actually when you love anything, really love, you love everything. So when I love myself, I love you, I love my husband, I love the people around me, I love the people I work with, I love my business, I love my life. When I hate myself, even if it's like deep inside, hidden away, those thoughts that we don't even tell people, when I hate myself, that always goes outwards as well. So what I found is that loving yourself is actually the key. You've really gone straight to the key of the whole book, and of the whole message, that when you love yourself, you're able to accept more, you're able to receive more, you're more generous to yourself, and you're more generous to other people because you feel spacious. You don't feel like, oh, life's against me, I'm always watching out for something awful to happen. It's kind of like, no, I'm here, I'm taking up my space in life, I belong here, I love myself, I'm able to receive love, I'm able and happy to receive money, I'm happy and able to share money as well, pay for things, invest in things. It's just like everyone knows. It's not rocket science. Everybody knows that. And that's why money is so controversial, to go back to your first question, because we live in this denial of something that we know. We have to pretend all the time.
Oh, absolutely. One of the things just made me think about, this whole even biblical thing of like love others as you love yourself. And I always thought that until you love yourself, you cannot love others, right? Because truly you cannot.
It's
So
very difficult. It's
yeah.
actually very difficult. We pretend. The people who do that usually end up becoming martyrs. They actually sacrifice themselves. And when you sacrifice yourself, in the end, you get bitter and resentful. And then because you're a person who loves other people, you have to hide your bitterness and resentment, and it turns inwards. And then you see people getting really sick, because they've turned all that bitterness and resentment against themselves, and it turns into things like cancer. Just because actually we are loving beings. We love to love. In fact, every pop song, it's so many songs are about love. Everyone loves to love. We just kind of get confused. Too many pressures.
Absolutely. I think we're all the happiest when we have a feeling of love, right? Either we are with somebody we love, like with our kids, or with a partner, or in nature. That's when we feel the happiest. And it's like, I think where the vibration is the highest. You mentioned something else about that I was like, when I read this, that's why I called myself what I am doing wrong. When you talk in the book about when you want something and the way you communicate this, like let's say you give the example of two women who love the coat, and one says, oh, I would love to have it, and the other one says, well, I can't afford it, or or like they just say I need it, or the need. Can you talk more about this? Like when you talk about like I need money, it puts you in the need of money.
Yes, so this is very interesting. It actually comes back to the energy piece that I've been talking about all the way through, because in fact, it's more about the energy than the words. So I'll give you some examples. Let's go through the coat example first of all. So you have two women and they both see the same coat. And there are different variations of this. In one variation, one of them says, I'd love that coat. She walks into the shop and she buys it. She loves it. She wears it and she enjoys it. Very happy, positive example. Let's have three women, actually. One woman looks at it and says, I'd love to have that coat, but I can't afford it. She completely cuts off in that moment. Now, she could say, I'd love to have that coat. I can't afford it right now, but I'm going to get it. Not right now because I can't afford it, but I really want it. And so she stays open to receiving money that will enable her to buy it in the future. Another woman says, I love that coat, but I don't feel good about buying it because I don't feel good about myself. It's like, I think a lot of us can relate to this. I can relate to this when I was younger. I'd say, I would love it, but maybe I don't feel I'm beautiful enough to wear it, or I don't feel worthy in some way, or people like me don't wear coats like that, or something. We all have these variations of this inner self-worth issues. And so she doesn't buy it. And she doesn't buy it, although she can afford it. She's got the money, but she doesn't have that self-love that says, I'd love it. I can afford it. It's in my budget for now. It's that money's not allocated for something else, but I'm going to deny myself it because I'm judging myself in some way. So she has this experience then of like disappointment and, oh, there's this thing I would love. The other woman has this like, I want it, but I can't get it, and closes down to money. So from this example, you see that the energy really matters. If she stays open, the one who can't afford it, if she stays open, receptive, she might well find that in a few weeks or a few months, she can afford it. And what a pleasure that will be to be able to create that money and go and buy it. These are the things that makes us feel like, oh, yeah, I have some power in my life. Now, the other piece of what you're asking about is about needing and wanting. If I sit there and say, oh, we'll keep with the coat. I really want a new coat. I really want a new coat. I really want a new coat, but I can't get it. I can't afford it. I have so many bills. There's a sort of, there's an energy that's being put out, which is not only that I need a coat. It's like a constant manifestation of not being able to afford it. It's like you're putting out to the universe that I am a person who can't afford to buy what I want. Yes. Whereas if you actually can just say, I want a new coat and I'm open, I'm really open. I can't afford it right now, same thing, but I'm open. Or if you're a bit more entrepreneurial, a bit braver, I'm going to find a way to get it. This is where people get really positive. I'm going to find a way to get the coat that I want. I can't afford it right now, but I'm going to find a way. And then we start getting curious. Our energy is positive and we create. This is where manifestation happens. You find surprising things happen where money comes to you and you weren't expecting it, or a business opportunity. I've just had an example where there's something that I wanted some extra money for very specifically, which wasn't budgeted. And then it's like, somebody suddenly says, oh, I really want to do some more work with you, Sarah. And I'm bringing somebody else who I think should do some work with you. And it's in a specific way that gives me direct access to that money. It's a very specific kind of manifestation for me, because most of my money goes through my business and then it has to go through all the usual business stuff. But this is a way that I can get that extra bit for myself for something very specific that I want to do, because I've just bought a new house. And so, yeah, these things happen all the time when we're open and positive about our life rather than negative and limiting and controlling.
I love that example, because the whole thing of being open, which kind of makes me think about your book, The Energy on Demand, right? That staying open. Yes. Let's talk a little bit more about, can you explain to us, why is it so important to stay open? I love what you talk about in the book about when you are stressed or anxious, you contract your energy, right? And you're kind of blocked off. But when you're relaxed and open, that's when you kind of can attract the good things into your life, flow.
Yes, and again, we kind of know this. Most people know this, but then we get tense, we get upset, and we get tense, and we feel like we're not in control of it.
Mhm.
But very simple things, it starts with very simple things like when you're relaxed and open and somebody pays you a compliment, it's easy to say thank you.
Yes.
And when you're tense and closed and worried about stuff and someone pays you a compliment, I mean, I watch people do this all the time. They say, oh, no, no, I'm not like that. Or they reverse it. They try to give the compliment back to the person. They can't accept a simple thing like a kind word. And then we see the same with money. So you see people who want more money. Let's say they want to make more money in their business,
Mm.
but they're so tense and they're so contracted that even I've seen people not see the opportunities around them. There are literally business opportunities all around them, but they're so focused on where's the money, or what's wrong with my business, or whatever it is, that they can't see people trying to buy things from them, literally. And so when we're open, we see more, we notice more, we see opportunities, because we see how we can help somebody. Business is ultimately providing some service or product that helps another person. We actually see that rather than being locked into my own view of my own little world of everything that's wrong. And of course, then I'm not open to other people. I'm not open to what's coming towards me. So at a very simple human level, being open works. And the only thing I would put around that is we probably all know examples of people who are radically open, often very spiritual people, can be wide open and they don't have any definition. They don't know what they want, actually. They just say, I'm open to the universe. I'm open to whatever. And that doesn't always work very well. What I found is that we naturally want things. We naturally, as human beings, want experiences. We want to create. We want to contribute. We want to give. We want to share. We want to do things. People want to have children. They don't just say, oh, well, I'll just see if they arrive or not. It's like, no, I want to have children. I don't want to have children. I want to do this. And I feel it's really important that we respect those and then have the openness with it. Then it doesn't matter if you say, I need it. But if you're open, I want this, I'd love this, I'm really open to it. Whereas if it's like, I want it, but I can't get it, you can feel the difference between the energy. So respect your desires, what you want, and then be open to receive them or something better. Like life often provides us with something better than what we think we want.
I love you mentioned something in the book about like that, being specific about your desires, right? Being very specific, like I want this by this amount of time, but then being open about how it's going to arrive, because then you open different channels, right? Like your eyes are more open to different
That's
opportunities.
right. Yeah. And you only want to do the specific time if that's serious. If you really need something by a specific time, then be specific. I find if that's not, don't play game. I don't think it works to play games with it, like silly games. There's people when they just try to do it, it doesn't work. But I've found if I really need something by a specific time, it's like I really have to have that money or that whatever it is, something happen. Then with this openness I'm talking about and clarity, it's remarkable what happens. But if I would just say, oh, look, I want $5,000 by 5 p.m. this afternoon, just whatever, like silly, like you need real energy in it. You need real energy, real life energy in these things.
Yeah, I love that. Being specific, right? Because only then we can truly like go after our goals and being open to attracting them. There's something you mentioned also about the goals versus wishes. Like goals, we work towards them, and the wishes we attract. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Because I found it very fascinating. I never heard it put this way.
Well, yes, I experience wishes coming up inside me. It's just like, oh, that's something I would love. Um, it's really different from a goal, which is something outside of me. It's something that I'm moving towards. Now, sometimes you can if you can bring wishes and goals together, to me, that's the most powerful thing. So if I can listen to my wishes and then form some of them, into a goal, then when it's come from inside me, it has power. That's the thing. Those wishes have power. They have kind of energy power. A lot of goals people set with their head. It's like, I want to turn over $1 million in my business this year, or I want to get that job, which is a promotion. But it's it's not really something that means so much. It's an external, it's like a school type. I want to do well in my exams. It's not very meaningful in life terms. Now, if you'd absolutely love that promotion because you'd love to do that job, you'd love to have that new level of responsibility, you'd love to work in that department, can you feel the difference? It's really different. So where you have a goal that especially where you've formed it in your head or from external pressure, like, your parents said you've got to achieve this and you feel all this pressure, you have to work hard to do it. What I find is when there's a wish there and you stay open and you do the things, you relax, you do the things that it talks about in my book, it's much easier for you to reach the fulfillment of that wish. Okay.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
So would you say that goals are more from the head and the wishes are more from the heart?
For me, I experience wishes actually coming from my soul. They come through my heart, but really, the soul is the part that sort of decides to come and be human.
That's right.
And then gets a body. It's not, the heart isn't the impulse of that. The soul is the impulse of human life. So my experience is the soul is like a little bundle of desires. It's like, oh, I want to do this and I want to do this. I want to experience this. Some things it has no idea. It's like it wants to experience having to be forgiving or something like that. And then horrible things happen so that it can forgive them, or it wants to experience, I don't know, joy. And then it has all these experiences that are not very joyful so that it can have the experience of finding joy. So the soul is like a bundle of desire, of wishes, just really, I want to have this experience that I can't have as a soul that's disembodied. I can only have here on earth in a body with all the constraints and challenges that exist with being human. So the soul has these desires, which we interpret through our hearts. Like they come up through our hearts, we experience them that way. It's like our heart puts them into a kind of language. Whereas I do think goals and wishes can be combined, but a traditional goal tends to be more of a head thing.
I love that. The whole thing of like, we are the soul living in a body, right? We have the body, but truthfully, we are the soul in the body. It's kind of makes me think of what you talk about, the working light. Where I took your webinar, the art of working light, and whoever, who the viewers who have not taken this webinar, I really recommend it. It's absolutely amazing. The art of working light. Can you explain a little bit more about that? Because I love what you said about that sometimes we work so hard, like we, hit the wall and, almost like we are working against ourselves. But when we invite light into it and we invite, higher help, like it's somehow things just work out. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yes, I was running a retreat called The Consciousness of Money, and I heard myself say, we all need to work light instead of working hard. And I didn't really know what it meant. And then I went to explore, what does that mean? And so this whole thing arose around the concept of working light. And there are a few different aspects to it. It's quite interesting, actually. One part of it is a special way of relaxing. I actually teach people how to work light. And I teach them how to relax at the beginning of the day. And it sounds very contradictory to some people, but in a way where it's quite remarkable, actually. People find that they don't have nearly as much to do as they thought they did. Things get done much more quickly. Other people help them in ways they don't usually. Their team becomes more efficient. I had somebody once say, oh, my team doesn't make mistakes anymore. They do things and it works first time. And they understand everything I'm talking about, my instructions really clearly. So that's the kind of first level of working light, is that you're relaxed in a way and open. The relaxation opens you, as we've been talking about. And it's just like all these results come in, like you just become much more productive. Now, another layer of working light is exactly what you mentioned, is being open to what we could call subtle guidance. So in Napoleon Hill, he talks about people having, what was it called? I can't remember the word, but when people have this, a group, and actually he had this group of very famous dead people who he would communicate with, literally people like Einstein or great business people. I know lots of people who do that. I don't do it that way myself, but I have a very strong, I can talk to money. Obviously, I wrote the book Talking to Money. I have a strong sense that I have human people who guide and mentor me, and then I have these non-tangible beings, if you like, that I know are there supporting me. I can speak to my higher self, for example. I can also speak to my soul if I want to. And that enables things to happen at a level that we're not capable of if we think it's all about us. The key is when I think it's just me, my body, my very human self who has to do everything, it feels heavy. Work feels heavy and hard. When I know that I'm part of not only a physical team, but also a non-physical team, it's so much lighter because they are the ones who deliver those manifestations and synchronicities and surprising results and miracles and things like that. That's literally how it works at an energetic level. And then the other thing that I find really fascinating in terms of working light is how do we play with time? We have a very linear view of time in our culture. You know, we count seconds and minutes and hours and days and stuff like that. Time is not like that. It's a multi-dimensional aspect of life, and we have all these different timelines working at the same time. And when we become aware of that, we can start to play with them. And we become very creative with those timelines. And all the other people we know are also on these multiple timelines, and our timelines meet and go apart. And the storylines of our life, they kind of weave through these timelines. And suddenly you realize that it's like, you know, they sometimes say life is conspiring to help you. It's like it brings these storylines and timelines together at the perfect time for you to do something. You don't then need to be working on it all that time when those timelines are separate. I don't know how to explain it very well, but most people, what I see is they work really, really hard because they think there's only one timeline, this linear time. They think they've got to fit everything into that. They don't realize that the universe is preparing so much stuff for them on other timelines that will meet them when they need it. And because I've become aware of that, I've found that I'm able to work much lighter because I'm not trying to manage everything in one linear timeline. So that's kind of quite advanced stuff, but it's very fascinating and intriguing. And everyone wants to be able to bend time and play with it.
I love that. It made me think of, prayers. Like I grew up very Catholic and, I'm more spiritual now, but I grew up with prayers. And my grandma always told me like, prayers really work. You should try them. And I remember like there were some situations in my life where just literally miraculously things have aligned so perfectly that I could not even plan those things out. Like my brain doesn't even work this way, to have those different circumstances align in such a way where things would happen for me as they did. So I totally believe in that. It's like working light for me is just, asking for me, at least the way I look at it, asking for help from the, angelic beings or God, Jesus, Buddha, whoever you believe in, just to kind of ask for help, right?
That's definitely a part of it. Yeah, there are multiple layers to it, but it's definitely a part, and it works. And the big thing is that it actually works. And working light is obviously much, much nicer than working hard.
Absolutely. I want to ask you because I was thinking about money in my life. I never really think about money itself so much. And this book opened it up for me where I feel like I should be thinking more about money directly. I always thought more about the things I want to get or vacation I want to go on to, and almost like bypassing money. Because I think the way I grew up, I grew up in Europe, in Poland, like we didn't talk about money. So even thinking about money, I felt like, it's kind of not, I should not be wanting money, but I do want those things. So for people who grew up with that, like how do you overcome that? And like, can a person want money too much? Like, is another thing you talk about in your book about there's different levels of abundance, right? It's not just money. There's different levels of abundance. Like, is there are people who have all the money in the world but are still miserable. Can you talk a
Well,
little bit more?
of course, we know that there are. Later, after long after writing the book, I started to look at wealth and true wealth. And I looked at, it's like, okay, so we normally think about money as being wealth.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought, so if I had lots and lots of money, or lots more money than I have right now, will I feel well? Will that make me feel wealthy? And I realized that, for example, I could make a lot of money and be working incredibly hard and not have any time, really. And I was thinking, that's not wealthy. So I was also thinking about currencies. So it's like time is also a currency.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm wealthy in money and I'm wealthy in time, so that doesn't mean I've just got all my time free, but it means that my time feels abundant. I can do a lot with my time that's meaningful to me. Do I now feel wealthy? It's like, yeah, but what about if I don't have good relationships?
Mm-hmm.
Personal relationships and business relationships, because actually our business relationships are really the foundation of business. Business is just a set of relationships in many ways and agreements. So I realized that relationship is also a kind of currency. I watched actually two people the other day in a business meeting coming together, and one of them has this idea for a business. Well, he's already got a model for a business, and the other one came in and said, well, I could talk to this person and this person and this person. And in that instant, this business model was amplified, just like it was just kind of was like giving steroids to it. So not a very nice expression. It was extraordinary to watch the power of somebody bringing their relationships to a business. So I realized that relationships are part of our wealth. If we want to truly feel wealthy, we need good business, work relationships, we need good personal relationships. And I was thinking, there are lots of people, and I've come across people and heard of people like this who are very successful in business. They must have very good relationships to be that successful. They've got time mastery now, they can do what they choose with their time. But their kids are saying to them, why did you do all that? You've made loads of money and yeah, you're living a great life and you gave me a great life, but what was the purpose of it? What was the meaning of it? And suddenly they're faced with the fact that they didn't really have wisdom. There wasn't, when you're wise, you bring meaning and purpose into the decisions you make, and you take a broader perspective. So I realized that wisdom is also a currency, and it's part of our wealth. It's something we can grow. It's something where if it's lacking, it really depletes our energy and our wealth. And of course, well-being is really fundamental in here. I think I don't see well-being as a currency. I see it as the foundation of everything. It's the foundation of life, really. So, yes, I think we need to have a richer understanding of abundance or wealth or prosperity, which again, we see so many examples in the media these days. We know these things, but we just, because of these examples, we think, oh, I've got to get very rich and forget about all the rest. And then we're unhappy. It just doesn't work.
Oh, absolutely. It makes me think about, the abundance, like, because to me, money is just like a little piece of it, right? But how we spend time, how do we make money? Also, I think it's very important. Like, can we make money with integrity, feeling good about ourselves? Do we have time to spend with our loved ones? Those are very important pieces of this, money equation for me, because
absolutely,
if you just make money and you are miserable as you make money and you have no time and no freedom, that's not the abundance code for me, at least.
I want to just come back to one thing that you mentioned in your question. You talked about your grandmother, I think, and not talking about money. So this is an interesting thing. I actually think you're very sensible to be tuned into the experiences that you want. So it's not only things, it's often for humans, it's experiences. And then money flows to those experiences. And so you're able to attract money for those. I think that's actually a really good way of doing it. There are times when we want money, but in the end, money is always for some purpose. So somebody might be running a business, or maybe somebody's starting a business and they want $2 million investment, but it's not really the $2 million that they want. What they want is the capability that $2 million buys them. So they want this software, they want to build a team, they want to have some financial security, perhaps, so everyone can work in peace and not be under constant stress. What they're really buying is all of those things. So we express it as money because it's a kind of code for packaging up a whole lot of things. But really and truly, what we want as human beings isn't money itself. It's what money gives us. That might be to feel secure. So we might want to have money in savings or something, but we want the savings then. Even then, it's not really the money. It's actually the security that we're buying, or it's the investment that we're buying. It's the growth. And the thing that seems to go wrong is when people make it all about the money rather than all about life.
Absolutely. Yes, I totally agree with it. And especially working in a business, like a banking industry, I feel like there's so much focus on money, but people sometimes it's almost like taking a few steps back, like, why are you thinking about money so much? And I love what you said about safety. I think for a lot of people, they forget that money is truly all about safety for them, right? We want to have savings, we want to have enough money to retire. It's truly all about safety. So that kind of brings me to another question, because you talk a lot about like trusting money and feeling safe with money. So how can somebody who's currently struggling financially feel safe with money and trust money?
That's a very good question. It's an interesting one. What I normally do is teach people how to relax, first of all, so that they learn to be relaxed, even if they don't have enough money. So it's not that they're then relaxed now they have more money. First of all, they don't have enough money, but they're relaxed, so they're more open. And then it becomes easier to have ideas to make more money. You're more open to receiving money. Like everything just gets that bit easier. If you want to start a business, for example, it's really, really hard to do it if you're incredibly tense and you have no money. Sometimes we do it. I've done it. It's not easy. I did it because I had to, because I didn't have any money and I wasn't going to go and get a job. I'm not really that kind of person. It's very tough to do that. But I built my business on the message of my book. So whenever I didn't have money to pay my rent when I first started out, I would relax. I would ask money, please pay the rent, please get it sorted. I would be very open. Money would come in, often by surprise in those days. And I always paid the rent. I just always managed to do it. And then I started to say, okay, I want to do this course. Like I need $5,000 or $8,000. I remember needing $8,000 to do a course at a time when I was mostly paying my rent and, paying all the basic things, but I really wanted it. And you know how it goes. Everyone who's done anything about manifestation knows how it goes. The minute I was super clear that I wanted it, and really the clarity was important, a client called me and said, Sarah, I want to buy $5,000 worth of sessions with you. She'd already got $2,000 worth. She already had credit with me. She said, I want $5,000. It was like, you don't even need that. But anyway, that happened the day after. Literally the day after I got clear that I wanted to do this thing. So I had to listen to that. And I've had lots of examples. But of course, in amongst that, I'm building a business all the time that also has that consistency. It's not all based on miracles. I don't think I could handle that. It's too unpredictable in a way. So you need to, I want a consistent, solid business that is working for me. That's what I've been building all these years. But yeah, it's literally, I started from I realized I had 2 weeks. Well, I moved to Australia with my husband. We had just a little bit of money in US dollars. It would be less than $10,000 to put a deposit on a house that we could rent, to buy a car. The kind of cars are more expensive in Australia, and get through those first weeks. And then I realized I've got 2 weeks and I have to have a business running and paying all our bills in 2 weeks' time. And it's like, oh my goodness, I've just got to make this work. And yeah, that's actually what taught me how to do my book.
I love that. So you mentioned something specific there that I want to like mention for viewers. You said, money, please give me X amount by such time, right? You talk about being specific with that.
I mean, it wasn't even, I didn't even do it like that. I would, what I have found works for me is to say, please pay my rent. And it's not that it pays the rent, money always comes, but it's actually the rent that I wanted to pay. Like you said, you want to buy this or you want to experience that. I wanted to experience my rent being paid on time. I had to experience that. I couldn't afford to let the rent go. You know, you just can't afford to get behind and things like that. So I just had to apply everything, like be radically open, radically trusting, because I didn't know where it was going to come from. I didn't have any clients that I could call. I didn't know anyone in Australia, not one single person when I first arrived. And yeah, I mean, it was extraordinary. It was an extraordinary example to me of how this does actually work. Money really is different from how we've imagined it. And you really can find a way. And actually, it's really open to anybody. I know people have circumstances that are very, very hard, but the fundamental principles actually, they just do work. I've worked with so many people who had nothing. I had somebody who was, she couldn't afford to pay for gas for her cooker for her children anymore. Literally, like really difficult situations. But the principles work. The principles work. The challenge is when you're in a very difficult situation, you don't want to relax. You don't believe it's possible. You don't believe anything can get better for you. And so you lock yourself into that situation. But if you do, and if you're a little bit patient, something will change. It always does.
Absolutely. You were also talking about the gratitude, right? Like I almost feel like whenever, like sometimes when you bring in gratitude into anything, it almost like multiplies it. Do you feel like it's the same with money? Like, being grateful for what you have first?
I think, yes, I feel it's really important either I think appreciation is actually very important as well. Appreciation is very interesting because it's also an accounting term. And, when an asset appreciates, it grows in value. So appreciating what you have, which can be the tiniest things, or it can be things that you normally take for granted, is very powerful. Why? Because it opens you. It makes you feel positive. It's a kind of enjoyable energy appreciation. Feeling gratitude for what you receive, for what you have, is very important. What I've always found difficult is to feel grateful for what I don't have. Like some manifestation techniques, they try to teach you to feel grateful before you get it. I understand what they're doing, but I find it's very difficult for a lot of people to do that. But we can always appreciate what's here, and that opens us to receive more and be grateful for, the further I go, I notice the more grateful I am. And my husband, I see the same in him. It's just like we're so much more grateful in our lives than we used to be. And I don't know what comes first. Did it get better first and we became more grateful? Were we more grateful first? It became better. It seems like it went together. I'm not sure that you can really force it. I think there's a sort of natural evolution as well. We need to grow naturally, not try to go too fast, because then usually there's an adjustment later, which is uncomfortable. But yes, that gratitude is such a nice experience. When you feel grateful for your life and grateful for the good things that are happening to you and grateful for the terrible things that have happened to you because they've made you a better person, it's just such a nice way to live.
I loved it. And you just mentioned something very interesting that I've heard about. And I think you also touched upon in the book, the expansion. Like you have to expend your energy first, right? So more money can come in, or like more abundance can come in. Like you have to expend your energy before it can come in,
Well,
so you can hold it.
you know, this is something that a lot of people are familiar with. Abraham Hicks. You learn a lot through that our energy needs to be a match for something. So probably most of us have had the experience of wanting something where our energy isn't a match. It's like you really, really want it, but you just can't get it. And I had an interesting example recently. I'm just been going through the process of selling the farm that I live on now and buying a house. And it was just a bit above our financial capacity. Just like, and we had to go through several rounds where it was like, one thing where the people who are selling the house we really, really wanted said that they wanted to get out of the contract. We'd already signed the contract. Something had gone wrong with their mortgage. And it was like, are you sure you want this house, Sarah? There were like several things that happened that where we had to be really sure that this is what we want. And I could feel it was like getting our energy to the level where we could get this place that we really wanted, but was actually just a bit, it was just like a bit above our match, our natural match. And by going through these challenging, slightly challenging situations, we also had to get our kind of finance together in 5 days. It normally takes, normally you have to allow 3 weeks, and they gave us just 5 days. They said that the real estate agent thought it was impossible. She said, I don't think you're going to make it. No way. And we did it. And so we kind of expanded our energy. We were really positive. We were really open, really clear, really let go. We said, if we don't get it, it's fine. We'll find somewhere better. So we applied all the rules and it worked. But for me, what was interesting was seeing how our energy had to just grow to match what we wanted to buy there. And then, it went unconditional. Everything was fine. It was a very interesting experience of what you're talking about there. So yes, expansion, when you can live that energy energetically. So from the inside, everything starts from the inside. It starts from the energy. You can experience the energy of something before you have it. And that's actually what creates the attraction. Then it's attracted towards you.
I love that. It's kind of like what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And sometimes the tests we go through, like sometimes I feel like the little tests, like, okay, I'm like, okay, Joanna, you're going for another test. Like I have to like pass the test. Like, how will I hold myself through that? Like stay in integrity, be grateful. Like those are very important. I love that you said it. I wanted to ask you about because you studied energy with Chinese masters for so long, right? And how did you transition from that to money? Like, how do you feel like it's easier for you to handle money because you were able to kind of like hold your energy and master your own energy?
Yes, I mean, without question, life is an energy game in many ways. Everything in life is energy. And how we manage our own energy, if I can say that, like, is it my own energy? That's a bit of a strange thing because it's interconnected with all other energy. But how I manage myself energetically is absolutely essential. And again, think about people in business. Think about the people who are really emotional, for example, get very upset or angry. They don't know how to manage their energy. They don't know how to respond to challenges. Think about the people who can respond to a challenge with calmness and clarity and wisdom consistently over time. That's the definition of a good leader.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a person who has more mastery of their energy. And as you get better at it, you also get better at those things we've talked about earlier, that like managing the new currency, your contribution, building your credits and reducing your debits, all these kinds of things. So I would say it's one of the big keys to life, how we interact with energy, how we respond to challenges, how we respond to our desires, our real purposeful, meaningful desires in life. That's what makes a good human life, a meaningful, fulfilling human life.
Oh, absolutely. I totally agree with it. I feel like being happy and living in integrity, to me, it's like one of the biggest currencies. And I feel like when I live that way, like somehow things miraculously happen. Um, I want to ask you about if you were to say something to money every day, what would that be? Like if for our viewers who want to, maybe master the relationship with money, I mean, maybe currently they feel like the relationship with money is not that great. What would they do every day? And what should they say to money every day?
Well, while you were asking the question, it was like money itself, the energy of money put the words inside my mind. It said, I love you, was what it said. I love you. I think I think that really, in terms of what we need to do every day, the things that it talks about in the book really are three things. One is to relax, just relax. I would say start with just relaxing, and then you'll learn how to relax about money. Enjoyment is really important, and love. Those are the three things that actually make our relationship with money work. When we're relaxed, we're enjoying life, and we love life. We make better decisions. We engage with life much better. We'll be better in business, better in our families, better in all aspects of our life. So I always just say, relax, enjoy, love. That's the key to everything.
I love that. And what you say about enjoy and laugh, it makes me always think about this, famous phrase, follow your bliss. Like when you follow your bliss, somehow things always work out, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that that's not actually true entirely.
Okay.
There's truth in it, but I mean, I've met a lot of people. It might be if you could really experience that bliss. I think that most people, bliss is a very, very strong word. And most people, when they say follow their bliss, actually what they mean, they follow something that means something to them, and they often don't know how to make a business of it, for example, and then they don't have enough money, and it doesn't always work out. So I think we have to be careful. Yeah, just be careful. There's a lot of naivety. If you want, we're talking about money here. If you want to make money, and you're not going to inherit it or marry it or whatever, you either need a job, bliss or no bliss, or you need to do a business. If you do a business, you can follow your bliss in terms of the business you're making. You still have to learn how to do business. And a lot of people say, well, business is not my bliss. I just want to make money doing what I love. I want to be a healer, or I want to be a this, but I don't want to deal with business. It's not a very blissful experience, unfortunately. So I think there's a deep truth in it, but it's pretty missed a lot of the time. And that's why I pick it up, because people get into trouble around that one. And apparently Joseph Campbell himself, he also saw the same thing later in his life. He saw a lot of people really probably misunderstood what was being said there.
I love that. That actually, I had another question, like, why do you think that so many spiritual people are struggling financially? Because I feel like maybe they are missing this wisdom, right? The wisdom part of the money that's also needed, and the discipline, right?
Well, that's part of it. The biggest thing I see is that they actually either hate money or are afraid of money, or think that it'll corrupt their spirituality, which is not surprising. Jesus said, whatever we think Jesus said anyway, it's harder for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven than for a camel to go through the eye of the needle, that very narrow door, and all of these things. So from the Bible, the message around money is very confusing. From Eastern religions and spiritual traditions, money is really like the highest, most virtuous people have no money at all. They never touch money even. So we're surrounded by models, not in every religion, but in most religions. So it's whichever way you look at it, I think it goes so to the core of our identity as a human being. And people who identify with being spiritual often at a subtle level almost allergic to money, and therefore allergic to business as well. And that's why they struggle, because they're not willing, they don't want to learn business. They think it's going to harm them, and so it's very, very scary for them.
Oh, absolutely. It also makes me think about King Solomon, right, in the Bible. Like he had one wish, like he asked for wisdom. God asked him, I will give you whatever you want. And he asked for wisdom. And therefore he became one of the richest people on earth, right? So because I think like at the bottom of all of that, it has to be, wisdom. Even if you follow your bliss, you still have to do it with the wisdom underneath it.
Yeah, because wisdom does give you discipline and does give you consistency and enables you to self-correct when you make a mistake. Like we all make mistakes all the time. If you're wise, you can look at it and say, oh, I messed up there. Yes. Now I'm going to do things differently. Without wisdom, it's much harder to do that.
Oh, absolutely. I agree with that. So since you mentioned that, the biblical things, and a lot of us grew up with generational beliefs about money, that, money is dirty, money is bad, you shouldn't want money. How can we overcome those in our lives so that we can have like a pure, more open relationship with money and kind of erase the programming that we have? Can we even
I actually think that that's where my book plays its real part. I don't think you can do that without getting a new understanding of money. If you maintain the old understanding of money, if I have more, somebody else has less, and all these kinds of things, the zero-sum game that we live with in our current economy, you can't, it's really difficult to replace those. You replace old knowledge with new knowledge. And I think we need to evolve our understanding of what money is in order to be able to start relating with it differently. And that's what I see. I see that very often when people read my book, because it's not so much an informational book, it's an energy book. Their energy starts to change around money. They start to have new experiences around money. Their relationship with money starts to work better for them. I think we have to have that kind of education of actually having a new experience of money, which is accompanied by a new understanding of it, so our mind doesn't go crazy. And then we're really on the journey.
Absolutely. Your work is so transformative. Sarah, really, I recommend for everyone to grab a copy of Sarah's book, Love Money, Money Loves You, and Energy on Demand. Both of those books are really life-changing. I've read them so fast, I need to go back to them again because I know there's so much there that I feel like I can work on, daily almost. But I want to ask you, Sarah, would you be willing to lead us for maybe mini meditation, something that would help people just maybe connect with money?
Yep, sure. Okay, then I'm going to just suggest that wherever you are, just close your eyes. Unless you're doing something where you shouldn't close your eyes. Just close your eyes, just sit very comfortably. And allow your whole body to relax. It's in a very simple way. Breathe into your lower belly. Breathe naturally. So now you're just beginning to relax, like I've been talking about. The energy of money is all around us, and it's inside us all the time. It's everywhere. It is the energy of manifestation and materialization and creation. And as you relax, the energy of money is able to move through you more easily. Perhaps you can feel it in some way, some sense of presence of this very sweet, beautiful energy. An energy of generosity, an energy of abundance, an energy that loves to be shared and loves to be experienced. Allow yourself to be open, simply open to the energy of money. Open to experiencing it, touching it, and knowing it inside yourself, in your energy field. It's present here with us now. And allow the presence of the energy of money to relax you. Start to feel how it's real. And it feels good. It's easy to relax with this energy. It's an energy of love. An energy that enables us to contribute to each other. It's an energy that's all about bringing more goodness and truth and beauty into the world as human beings. And it's always here, always in us and around us and everywhere. It's always available to us. And by being relaxed and open, we make ourselves more available to the energy of money. As it flows around the world through human hands, touching every one of us, and enabling the sharing of value between us in a very beautiful way. So this is a little introduction to the energy of money, so that you can recognize it in your own energy field.
Thank you, Sarah. This was beautiful and so peaceful. I really appreciate you being here with us today. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I'll put the links to your work below the video so that people can connect with you and find out more about you on your website. And also I'll put a link to your 2 books also. Thank you so much, Sarah. It was really amazing.
Thank you very much.